Welcome to the Alsco Uniforms It Pays to Keep Clean podcast. Join us as we spend time with Alsco Chief Operating Officer Jim Kearns to discuss this season's theme, Growth is Our Water. In this podcast, we'll talk about observations from the field, celebrate big wins, and identify industry best practices. I'm your host, Dana Craig. Let's get started. Good afternoon, Jim. How are you?
Good, Dana. How are you?
I'm doing all right. So we have several things that we wanted to cover today, starting with your recent trip to our neighbors to the north. You went to 3 branches in Canada, kind of starting, I think, on the East Coast and moving your way a little bit in. So am I right? You went to Quebec City, Montreal, and Toronto?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And how did those visits go?
The visits were great. We started off in Quebec.
Been a while probably since you've been to all of these, maybe?
It's been a while since I've been to, a long time since I've been to Quebec City, and a long time since I've been to Toronto. I've been to Montreal recently, or not that recently, but I've been there probably more frequently.
Mhm.
But Quebec City is a terrific place. We stayed
Gorgeous.
Yeah, stayed in the old city, had dinner at one of our customers. It was an Italian restaurant that was fabulous. And yeah, the plant in Quebec City looked terrific. The meeting on the dock was a little different than the meeting that I've had in other plants because most of our RSRs there speak French.
Right.
I think some of them speak English. I think they understand English, but so what we did there is we all gathered in the route room, and there was a translator, and we kind of had a dialogue that
good.
way. So we had a good discussion. There was a couple of the RSRs that kind of were the spokesman for the group, but it was good. Yeah.
Lots of enthusiasm over Growth is Our Water and just growth in general there. Did they?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you just look at Quebec City, which is a smaller city, smaller branch, and you might think that there's limited growth opportunities there, but there are clearly growth opportunities in Quebec City. I think we do very well in Quebec City. We are well known.
Yes.
In the old city, we're not well known for our F&B capabilities. So, there are lots of target market, possibilities in Quebec City, particularly as we kind of branch out, further away from the plant. So, yeah, it was great. The plant looked great. And it's been a long time. So it was nice to go there. I mean, it was raining. It wasn't snowing, which the last time I think I was there, we were cold and snowy. So, but what a beautiful place.
It's a gorgeous city, and we do have a pretty well-established business there, well-established presence. Similar in Montreal, and I don't think I've been to either one of them since we put Able in, which is, nigh on 20 years now. So what was the visit like in Montreal?
The Montreal plant looked as good as I've ever seen it. And I've made multiple visits to Montreal when we first acquired them, and I can't remember how long ago that was, 20 years ago or something like that. So I've spent a lot of time in Montreal. And the last time I was there, we had identified some issues, particularly in their wash aisle and some safety concerns, but all of that's been fixed. The plant has been, 5S has really taken off there. They used to do, they did some, I don't know what exactly they called it, but they processed shop towels there. And so that was a very dirty process. We don't do that anymore, and that has all been cleaned up. The plant looked great.
Oh, good. And so Montreal and Quebec City, you would have seen a lot of seasonality there. And so target market will help them to smooth that out.
Sure.
Montreal is more of a metropolitan, anything goes all day long kind of place, similar probably to what you saw in Toronto. So lots of growth opportunity target market wise in Montreal. And are we still pretty F&B focused there?
We're focused on F&B. We're focused on the target markets there. We have a new manager in Montreal, and a new sales manager. And so a new team, recently they've gotten their lost business under control. So they're doing a great job there. And I think that goes hand in hand with the 5S and starting to get loads all out on time. But I think Montreal is the 4th fastest growing city in Canada.
It's
3rd
up
maybe.
there, yes.
Yeah. And so big market. They can go a lot of different places there, and tons of target market opportunities there. So yeah, it's a nice business. And it's a big plant. We've had it for a long time, so they've got lots of capacity to do a lot there.
Yeah. So compare and contrast that then to Toronto, also another very large, fast-growing metropolitan area.
Yeah, so Toronto, and this was something that I learned, I guess I should have known, but it's the fourth largest city in North America. We're located in Burlington, so we're a little bit out of, central Toronto. And it's, when I first started, that's a plant that we built, many years ago, so it's a fairly new facility. Right. But again, another plant that I was surprised at how much capacity we have in that facility. And we have gone for years and years and years with, not much of a sales presence there. And so, it doesn't take much to see the opportunities that exist in Toronto. And, we're really going to make a concerted effort to grow that business in Toronto. And I was so pleasantly surprised at the team they've built in Toronto. These guys, growth is their water there. And we probably had, I'm going to say, the best route meeting that we've had, the best dock meeting. The general manager and his staff brought coffee and donuts. They set up tables. We had a donut and a cup of coffee with the RSRs. We talked to them. It was great discussions. And that whole team is on board with growing that business. So
that's great.
Very exciting.
It's like a new awakening for them.
A new awakening.
Yeah. So Dave Sweeney is our general manager
Yep.
there. He's been the general manager for quite some time, but he seems refreshed, renewed, ready to go.
He
Sounds like
does.
he's put a great team in place to make that
He
happen.
has. I
too.
mean, he's got a top to bottom. He's got a great team. Production, service manager, RSM, assistant general manager. I mean, these guys, are well positioned to take advantage of that marketplace, and they seem really eager to do it. So I think they've got a good plan in place, and it's going to be very, very positive.
Exciting to watch. So the RSRs, when you had those conversations, are they on board with their customer relationships and wanting to sell more on the routes and kind of learning and positioning themselves to do that role as well?
Yeah, definitely. As they grow, and if they, these sales come through, they're going to have to add more routes.
Yeah.
It's a pretty congested area, right? So getting around Toronto can be challenging, but these guys are taking good care of their customers. It's a competitive market up there, but we do well. So, yeah, I think they're definitely on board, and it was great. I mean, this was the morale was terrific. These guys were engaging. So it was fun to talk to these guys. There's a lot of tenured guys there,
Mm-hmm.
which is very helpful, and some new guys that are training. So, that's all good.
You are listening to the It Pays to Keep Clean podcast, brought to you by Alsco Uniforms, the worldwide leader in hygienically clean laundry services for uniforms, linen, floor mats, and restroom supplies. Need first aid services for your industrial, restaurant, or healthcare business? Alsco Uniforms has you covered.
You spent quite a bit of time in Canada
Right.
recently. You attended the Surrey Grand Opening, and Surrey, of course, is our new facility, brand new facility, opened in August of 2023. So we just finished our first year of processing there, but had the official grand opening, and this was the replacement for our downtown Vancouver facility. How did the grand opening go?
The grand opening was great there. It was terrific. Again, another fact that I wasn't really aware of, the local councilman told us that Surrey is the fastest growing city in BC and will be larger than Vancouver in 5 years.
Yeah.
And as you know, because you had so much, you had a big part of building that plant. The plant looked terrific. The landscaping was fabulous. We were there on a nice day. We'd gone there for a board meeting back in January, and they had a record snowstorm.
Yes,
so
we did.
We didn't get to spend much time in the plant, but I was happy to spend some time there now. It's a terrific plant. It looks great. We're well positioned in the right place. I guess it's easier for our employees to get to Surrey because the transit is so much better there.
Yeah.
So we've got
Well, and so many of them lived in that area.
Exactly.
So versus traveling into downtown, many of them walk, as a matter of fact, or take the bus.
So it's a flagship plant for us, and really positions us to take advantage of the growth opportunities, in Vancouver.
Right.
What a terrific city! Lots of opportunities, a lot of target market opportunities. I mean, we do a fair amount of garments, in a fair amount of uniforms in Vancouver, and so there's
Yes.
opportunities to do more of that. Some retail, medical, all of that's possible there.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to watch them grow and fill up that space. So we had a few special guests at the grand opening. You had mentioned a councilwoman, I believe, from Surrey came,
Yep.
but also Joe Ritchie, who is belongs to the TRSA organization, which we'll have you talk about in just a second, and then also Randy Barge. So talk about those two special guests who attended our grand opening.
So Joe Ritchie, who is the CEO of TRSA, and he and I have been working closely together since I'm the chairman. At the time, I was the chairman of the TRSA group, and so it was nice for him to come out and be involved in our grand opening.
Yeah.
He is somebody that represents our industry well, and it was also fun to have Randy Barch there because Randy takes over for me as chairman of TRSA, and he runs a business located a little bit further north of Vancouver that specializes in healthcare. And so he does healthcare in Canada and healthcare in the U.S. I mean, he used to have a uniform business. They sold it to Cintas, and then they got into the healthcare business. And so it was fun to have him there as well to see our facility.
And so those were, when that all happened, those were kind of the waning days of your you being chairman of TRSA.
Yep.
And as you mentioned, Randy took over, and was that sometime late September, I think,
Yep.
that handoff happened. And so how was your experience as TRSA chairman, and what are your roles and responsibilities now that they've moved on from you?
So they're at the annual convention the TRSA had in Colorado Springs at the Broadmoor was when my tenure as chairman ended. I was chairman for 2 years, and how that happened was I was put into a leadership role at TRSA 6 or 7 years ago, and then you kind of progress from treasurer and secretary to co-chairman to chairman. So it's a progression that you go through, and so I served a 2-year term, and today, now that I'm an emeritus chairman, my primary role is to work on the committee that picks future directors, and stuff like that. But it's been a great experience. Starting at my tenure as TRSA, I promoted ESG type issues. I wanted TRSA to become, a place that would help people tell what a great industry we've got here, in terms of, sustainability, providing great job opportunities, all those sorts of things that, when people are looking for information about our industry, TRSA could be a source of that information.
Yeah, because I think there can be a lot of misunderstanding about the industry
sure.
at a high level unless you go a little bit deeper. And it sounds like maybe Randy Barch is planning to carry on that sustainability
For sure.
theme as well.
He is.
Yeah. So another interesting thing I know that you shared with me and we wanted to share with our growing audience is that as you kind of come to the end of your being chairman, they provide you with a thank you gift, and you had talked about having a donation for a local charity here in Salt Lake City that is near and dear to your heart. So talk a little bit about that.
So yeah, I guess in past years they used to, provide some sort of a retirement gift, and they stopped doing that and allow the outgoing chairman to pick a local charity that they would like to benefit. Yeah. And so my wife and I, Maggie, we picked the In Between here in Salt Lake City. She is very involved with this organization, and it provides transition care for primarily homeless people, in their last phases of life. And so they're one of the few organizations around that kind of step in, at those last days. And so it was terrific. At the TRSA made a contribution. Maggie and I matched contributions from the members the night of our final awards dinner. And so I think we've raised in excess of $10,000 for the In Between. And so I don't have a final figure yet, but it's somewhere in that neighborhood. So we were very excited to help them out.
That's really great. And it sounds like a fabulous organization too.
Yeah, there's not many people that do that around here, and there's a real need for it. We don't want people to die on the street. We want them to, pass with dignity, and this organization helps that happen.
That's really great. Well, that sounds like a great way to have ended your TRSA and kind of a legacy to leave to a local organization as well. And as emeritus, of course, you will have ongoing responsibility. So we had another grand opening that I want to take a minute to talk about. We've had a pretty exciting last, 2 months here at Alsco. And so in October, just here a few weeks ago, we also had the grand opening at our Vista location, Vista, California, which was the replacement facility for our downtown San Diego plant that we'd been operating in, similar to Vancouver, for decades. Probably nobody thought we'd ever actually get out of there. So how was that grand opening? How did that go?
Look, it was well planned out. The grand opening was terrific. The plant looked terrific, as you know, because you helped build that plant as well. So I have been in the Vista facility far more times than I've been in the Surrey facility. So I felt like I could have been one of the tour guides, and I'm so proud of it. It's a terrific plant. It provides us, both plants are such a great investment in growth for us, and just great examples of Alsco's commitment to the future and commitment to, the Southern California market. We can do a lot of things with this Vista plant, and it's a beautiful place. It's a great place for our employees to work. We provide lots of jobs to people in that Vista area. We had the mayor come in. He owns a local business nearby us. Stopped in to check on us on our construction. And so, it's a terrific facility. And it was interesting because we had some special guests that showed up there as well. So, what a great day.
And I think our vendors supported us a lot in both of these grand openings too, which of course it's their achievement as well. We were all partners in making this happen, but it's nice to see that they'll come out for that piece of it too. So both of those facilities, state-of-the-art automation, but also along with automation and new equipment comes the opportunity to create more comfort and safety for our employees, which I think is something to be very proud of too. Yeah. So we had another special guest at the Vista grand opening, Rick Rogers, which is the conference room that we sit in. So we've talked about Rick in a prior episode. He was able to make it to the grand opening.
Yes, that was terrific. And so he got a tour of it. He looked like he really enjoyed the tour and seeing the Vista facility. I don't know if he's ever attended a grand opening before, so this might be his first one. When Bob Steiner was making his remarks about Rick Rogers, he mentioned that he was the only person alive today that knew G.A. Steiner. And for those of you that don't know, G.A. Steiner is the founder of Alsco. And so that's pretty remarkable. That was something I didn't realize or didn't know, but Rick Rogers is the only person
the last remaining
person to know Rick Rogers, or to know G.A. Steiner.
So from the horse and buggy days to this level, that's a pretty...
From 1889 when this business started,
2024. That's fabulous. Well, I'm glad he was able to make it. That's exciting.
It was terrific. Yeah, very exciting.
Well, where are you off to next? Any more travels between now and the end of the year?
Yeah, I've got one more trip planned, kind of towards the end of November. We're going to start off in Atlanta, Charleston, and Columbia, I believe.
And Columbia.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Is it not Jacksonville?
Maybe it's Jacksonville.
Was it ever Jacksonville? Okay.
No, I think it is Jacksonville.
Okay, so let's go again. Atlanta,
Charleston,
and Jacksonville.
I thought it was Columbia. It's Jacksonville.
Okay. All right. Great.
Correct.
Well, you're within spitting distance, so you're okay.
Close,
You'll make it there eventually. Well, that'll be an interesting one too. We'll talk to you when that time comes and see how those visits go.
Terrific.
Okay. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
That's all for today's episode of the It Pays to Keep Clean podcast. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the world of Alsco Uniforms, where we explore the growth and challenges in our industry. Tune in next time for more industry insights, growth strategies, and tales from the field. If you've enjoyed our time together, please leave us a rating and review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you want to learn more about our services, visit us at alsco.com. From all of us here at the It Pays to Keep Clean podcast at Alsco Uniforms, thank you for listening. Stay safe, stay clean, and we'll see you in the next episode.